Welcome to Unpublished Opinions, the podcast for Delaware County Bar Association. Here we say the things that never made the minutes. I'm your co-host and executive director, and joining me, as always, is our bar president, Matthew Ilker.
Thank you, Rachel. Good to be here. A forewarning to our non-member listeners. What you're about to hear is privy to our Bar Association world. So today, consider yourselves honorary members.
Today, we are doing something truly exciting and special. We've called in some of the finest people to ever wield the presidential gavel at Delco Bar. Past presidents Joseph Mattson, Rachael Kemmey, and Carrie Woody are all here joining us via Zoom. Gentlemen, ladies, welcome. We also have baby Regina.
Yes.
Actively participating. We'd like to hear everything, guys, the good, the bad, and obviously hilarious.
All right, Joe, you're up. Let's start with you. First of all.
So I get to go because I'm the oldest guy here, right?
They're the old proverb, age before beauty, Joe.
I'm the oldest guy in the room. I'm the oldest guy around. So, yeah.
Why is that too, I'm sure.
I was, so you want to know the year I was president? I was president in the year 2012, which I can't believe was 14 years ago. And I was going through the list of past presidents today to just get a little bit of history of who some of these past presidents were, and where they were from, and who has come after me. What was interesting, I noticed that I came to the bar in 1978. So between 1978 and 2012, that spans up 32 years. We only had 5 women presidents in that 32 years. And I noticed in the 14 years afterwards, we've had 5 women presidents. So that seems to be progress made in our bar association. Because when I first came in,
are you claiming that as your victory, Joe?
I could. I will today if I have to. But seriously,
I like it.
When I first came to the bar in 1978, I mean, the Delaware County Bar Association didn't have that many women. Maybe you had 5 or 6, and it really was. I'll use the phrase an old boys club. I mean, these guys ran it as a club, and was kind of closed to the young lawyers and to women. So you've come a long way, baby, as they say in the commercial. Since I came in 1978, since before that. So
Joe,
the year I was president.
What generation? Just as I'm a millennial. What generation are you?
I'm a baby boomer.
Boomer.
I'm a boomer. I was born in 1953. So believe it or not, they actually had some dinosaurs walking around back then, from what I understand.
Your grandkids, like if you say something smart alecky, do they call you? They drop the okay boomer to you? Like my kids, I don't know if they do as much. They do that to me, which I am unhappy with.
They call me a lot of things, some of which I can't say here on this podcast. And it's interesting. I've often been called. I'm called by one of my daughters-in-law, and my daughters at times. I'm called inappropriate Joe for some of the things I've been known to say. So that's a source of laughter within my family. But that's the era of history I'm from. I'm a baby boomer. I remember going to the local public school when I was 5 years old to get polio vaccines. I actually went to grade school with somebody who had polio, and he's still alive today, but he doesn't have much of a left leg. He's got to go in crutches. So that's the era I came from. And when I first started practicing law, there were no computers. Everybody was using typewriters and carbon paper. And that went away real fast, starting like in the 1980s.
I tried to thread a typewriter one time, and no way. I could never do that forever. Like for working, not being able to backspace. Oh.
When I was in high school, they had typing classes. They taught people how to type because, believe it or not, back in the 50s and 60s, women, for the most part, did not go to college. They went out into the workforce as, quote, secretaries, not administrative assistants, secretaries, and they lived at home with their parents and they contributed to the household. So they had to learn how to type if they were going to be secretaries. I don't know that they teach typing anymore. I think everybody is kind of self-taught.
Joe, when you started your career and you were doing legal research, did you use like books and reporters?
Oh yeah, I mean there was no computer research. We used stuff called Shepherds. You know what Shepherds are?
Yeah. I know. I know. You must have been able to bill like 1 million hours. Like that had to have been time consuming.
It was consuming as hell. I mean, see, the problem is they may have to bring Shepherds back today because of AI. Because that's to be honest with you, just see a checkup on AI. But I mean, I remember I went to Villanova Law School and they had this huge library and all these books all over the place, reporters from every place, and the Shepherds downstairs, the references. And I tell people today, here's my law library. That's amazing. But yeah, you had to do your research, then you had to go Shepherdize it to make sure the case was still good. And then you would go down to find the Shepherds, and somebody else had the Shepherds out, and you had to find them. With the book out, you couldn't find it. So that was an adventure.
All right, Joe. So set the scene for us. As many of the listeners here know, basically when you leave President's Dinner, you are leaving officially, even though you've kind of started already, but officially you're leaving as the president of the Bar Association. When you walked out of that dinner and it was official, were you nervous, excited, regretful? How were you feeling? Do you remember?
I'll say I was rather excited because it was a hell of an honor. Saying and going back over the all the people who have been presidents before me, since I was admitted, there were only 2 who were not from media. And I was the third one. I've always practiced in Havertown. I've never had an office in media. So my involvement with the Bar Association coming up the ladder to be the president enabled me to meet a lot of people who I wouldn't have met otherwise. And plus, I was in the era of a new executive director. Bill Baldwin, Rachael, who was your predecessor, was only in his second year as the executive director when I came in. So his first year was with Mike Pierce, who was my predecessor. It was a learning curve for both of them, but Bill was very, very seasoned. So Bill and I became good friends. So I was excited to work with him, and I was excited to help follow his lead. And he was very, very deferential to me as the president in terms of, well, it's your year, it's your board. What do you want to do? What do you think? What do you think about that? Unlike Betty Price, and I'm not saying this to be critical, Betty Price basically was the Bar Association. She ran it, even though you had presidents, up and down the wall. She was a force to be reckoned with in terms of running it. So basically what she said goes. So I was excited to be in this new era of Bar Association where we were moving out in new directions. Our technology was getting better. We were reaching out for memberships. We were reaching out to young lawyers. I always loved doing that. I always loved reaching out to young lawyers and trying to get them to join. So I was excited for the year. And plus, I served a year under Mike Pierce, who did a great job. So he plowed the road for me. So for me, it was easy.
Matt, you actually said something today in one of our meetings where you said, well, eventually I'm going to hopefully be able to do, my paid job at some point this week. Because when you are the president, as you know now, it takes a lot of time. Joe, did you ever have that feeling or stress?
I wasn't stressed. I knew going in that I'd have to devote time to the bar. And I kind of made preparations the year before that I was going to be able to devote the time I would. At that stage of my life, my children, for the most part, were grown and out of college for the most part, except for maybe one. And so I didn't have to worry about all these parental duties at home as I did when I was younger. And I've essentially been my own boss for the most part, for most of my career. So I was able to juggle my time. I knew there'd be night meetings. I didn't mind that. I would go into work very early to get my job done, and so I could go to the afternoon meetings or a luncheon meeting. So I definitely had planned my time, knew I was going to give up time, and I don't think it hurt my practice that much. I was able to, order my practice and serve the Bar Association at the same time. When my time was up. My time was up. It's time to pass it on as it should be. And I'll be honest with you, I did miss it for a little bit. I think as most presidents do, but it was a very rewarding year for me.
Who was your, like, if I asked you, who was your DCBA mentor? What would you be able to answer that?
I don't think so. First of all, because my office wasn't in media. Secondly, we didn't have a great mentoring program going on before those days. I think there was a lot of jealousy amongst the older bar members. They were concerned that these newer bar members were coming in. When I came in, the Bar Association went over 600 lawyers, and the older guys were saying, they're going to take all our work. What's going to happen to us? They didn't really care about mentoring us. And as a young lawyer, I got my teeth kicked in many, many times by some older members, and I never forgot that. So I can't say there was any one person was a member. I would say maybe Jim Proud was a mentor, because when I was involved with the young lawyers, and Jim Proud was president of the young lawyers around in the early 1980s, and I got on the ladder. So I kind of like took a lot of my shots from him. He was great. He was a great young lawyers president. He was also a great bar president later.
You've shared that story with me before, Joe, and one of the things that I appreciate about you and about the boomer DCBA generation, I'll say, is I haven't found that to be true for us. I haven't found to be iced out from that generation, or to have this widespread fear of these guys are going to take all of our work. Whether that exists at all, I don't know. But if it does, it's not the prevalent feeling amongst that generation. Everybody's been warm and open and helpful and accepting. I don't know if that's how you agree.
We tried to change that attitude. I in particular, one of that attitude changed us, that everybody else I hung with, in the bar. We wanted to be welcoming. How are you going to get new members in? One of the things, Matt, that's changed, you don't have any, quote, larger firms in media anymore, except for your firm. All the defense counsel firms and everything else have gone by the wayside. I mean, who else has a firm of more than 4 lawyers in media? Not too many. Besides you, okay? You guys have weathered the storm. But when I think of Fronefield and DeFuria, Crampio and Kachi, a couple others, they went with the wind, and they were the guys who were really pushing the buttons.
Joe, I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong. After hearing the beginning, maybe I am wrong, but I feel like every year there's like some crisis situation, and maybe it seemed like a crisis, and then it, hindsight, it wasn't. Was there one event or one particular, minute that went sideways, or you thought was going sideways, and kept you up at night during your year?
My year was going relatively smoothly until towards the end. We used to have this function in the Bar Association called Lawyers Club. Does anybody remember Lawyers Club?
Just its legends. I missed that one.
Lawyers Club started way back, maybe in the 50s or 60s, where the men of the bar, because there were no women, would get together and they would put on like a roast, and they would roast the judges every year. Okay, and it was apparently pretty successful, very popular, and they would have it every year. But as the years went on, some of these older guys moved on. Some of these younger guys with maybe some kind of a different sense of humor moved up, and the roast was getting to be a little out of hand. It just really was. It was getting to be personal. It was getting to be pretty foul. And everybody knows I can be as foul as anybody. But there's times for it and times not for it. So Bill Baldwin was not really big on this, because what would happen, people would call him like a week before the event and say, Bill, set it up. Set up the Lawyers Club. And you don't know how many people are coming. And Rachel, you would understand this. How do you plan? Who do you get to cater it? And what's going to be presented? And we didn't know. So one thing I did, I talked about Bill Baldwin at the beginning of the year. I said, I'm going to form a committee for Lawyers Club. And the committee's purpose is to, number one, make sure we have plenty of notice to schedule the thing. Number two, I wanted the skits screened, because they were becoming very offensive, especially to our female membership. I mean, a lot of people didn't want to come anymore because it was pretty offensive. So it got to be Lawyers Club time, and nobody. Oh, excuse me. Going back, I appointed Judge Hazel and Judge Burr to be the chair of this committee because those guys always put a skid on. Those guys were funny, and they could tone things down a bit. They could say, "Wait a second, you're over the line here. You're not over the line there. Let's get this line. You want to be funny, you want to be risque, but you don't want to cross a line." So they called me and they said, "You want us to be censors?" I said, "No, I just want you to use your common sense to make sure we're not going to overly offend somebody." Long story short was, towards the end of the year when the Lawyers Club normally would happen, Bill Baldwin calls me and says, "Nobody's called me to schedule Lawyers Club." I said, "Good, don't." So then I start getting calls from various members of the bar saying, "What happened to Lawyers Club?" I said, "Well, you guys didn't do it," and all that stuff like that. So technically speaking, I was a shitbird for a while, okay? But that kind of went away, and Lawyers Club went away. I never had another one. So, that was basically my song. That was any real bubble I had, but I didn't care. So that was it.
At least you got it at the end of the year, and then you just say bye.
With December, right out of here. And one of the guys, and I'll probably honest, one of the guys who was a dear friend of mine, came to the bar saying here, Bob Ferkser, we had serious conversation about it. He loved it, because, Ferkser's worse than I am. And I said, "Bob, we didn't have it this year because they didn't organize it." Yeah.
I love it.
Why not?
Unpublished opinions,
Bob and I are good friends. So I said, "Bob, you want to have it next year? Lynn Schoenfeld's going to be the president next year. Run it by her. Good luck." So, and then, but I didn't mind it. I just wanted to be under control. And some guys just got out of control. That's all.
So, Joe, I think you've talked about what you're proud of and some crises such as they are. How do you think your time as president, or even as a DCBA member in general, is there any way you can describe how it shaped you as a lawyer?
Yeah, and becoming getting more involved in the DCBA also really became more involved with the PBA. So not only did I get to know more members of our bar association, especially because I'm not media, I got to know people across the state who I really got to know and respect, and actually, had some professional relationships with them. Hey, somebody in Altoona to whom I can refer something? Yeah, he's John Smith. I know him from the PBA. But I think it makes you appreciate the profession a lot more. I think it makes you a lot more professional. And I think it makes you grow as an attorney. So at least it did for me. And I like to think I'm still growing even after all these years.
I hope other people feel the same way, because that's pretty much what our goal is. But anyway, Joe, thank you so much. Now make sure you stay with us because we're coming back for fire later. All right, good.
I'm going to take my shots at Rachael. Okay?
I'm so excited for you to talk about the year of the Rachels. So first, I just want you to tell us what year you were president and what the general state of the world and bar was when you took the helm.
So first, I apologize if there's any background noise. I sat here telling Rachael and Carrie what a good baby Regina is, and now she's acting a fool. So I apologize for trying to keep her.
I want to do that.
But I was president in 2024, and we had just come off Rachel's first year. So we had just come off our shock of Bill leaving, our search for a new president. And Rachael had such a dynamic first year. We were ready to, I thought, start the ground running. We had made it through the, Pat kind of had to take all of the retention on the head there. We had made it through that pretty well. So I thought we were off to a good start. And I'll leave it that way for a question.
So like to that point though, Rachael, it's been a couple of years since your presidency. As you look back on it now, knowing what you know, like, number one, do you believe you were prepared? And number two, did you have like a, oh my God moment? Like, maybe you can't ever truly be ready until you dive in and just get moving. Or did you try to figure things out as you went along?
So I thought I was ready in the sense that when I joined the Bar Association, I was lucky to have people like Joe who were reached out right away, who made sure I knew that it was important to get involved, not just in one facet of it, not just young lawyers, but to really spread yourself around and see the different committees and the different ways to get involved. So by the time I even had made it onto the board, I used to joke that there was one year I was visiting everyone's office every day. I was the treasurer for something. I was on the legal journal. I was running the new member section. So I got to pop into Nancy's office, Debbie's office, Kathy's office, once a day. So I felt like I knew the place and the people well enough. And as far as being a lawyer is concerned, I love my job. I wouldn't say that I always wanted to be a lawyer. The large contingency of what kept me being a lawyer was my involvement in the DCBA. I loved it from the start. So that's really what kept me in the profession, to be honest. And
that was because I bought you a drink at the bar at Penn State. Yes. That's why.
Yes, that was one of my favorite conferences. You mean Mike Pierce? Oh, Matt, you were there too, right?
I think I was there.
Matt introduced me to it.
I think you actually went to the CLE. I didn't do that.
Look at this lush over here, okay?
But as far as so it's hard for me sometimes to separate 2024 because on a personal level, my father died 2 days after the President's Dinner. Looking back on that, I don't quite know how I handled that and also wanted to put a good face on. I'm one of those people where your personal life really shouldn't affect other people. So I wanted to make sure that I was still there for the members and putting on a happy face and all that.
You did. You were incredible. It was incredible. I feel like I said a lot of times I didn't know how you were doing it.
I think, and that leads to me to why I love this place so much is that because everybody was so understanding and kind. And I remember leaving actually his viewing and my mom was like, wait a minute, like, who are all, like, a lot of people who like this DCBA is more serious than I thought. And I was like, yeah, these are my peeps. Like these are the outcry, the outpour was just so kind. And, but on a funnier level, we did have an moment shortly thereafter that, which included something I did not know. I was ready for member complaints. I was ready to handle personalities, but I was not ready to handle like building infrastructure. I only know construction workers from like dating them. Like I didn't even know a house at the time. Like, I mean, I lived in a building that was falling down, but that was my extent of building knowledge. And it was about a Monday morning and I got a call from Rachael and she said, the building's falling down. And I thought she was just being funny or like over exaggerating. So I went down in my, heels and my suit and my umbrella because it was downpouring.
You looked beautiful that day. You were wearing your suit and it was really pretty. I remember.
And in fact, the building was falling down. The whole right-hand side of our conference room had kind of crumbled into the ground, so to speak. We later learned it was a stucco issue. But if I could paint the scene, it was two young females standing outside in their heels in the pouring rain, staring at a building like, well, all right, what do we do? And that was our first issue. But we put our construction hats on and we tried our best, and I think we got through it. But it was a great example of why, even when you're president, though, it matters so much who your board is. Because I really took it to heart, or I still believe that you can be the leader of things, but it is your board's decision. Those people are there to guide you, but they're also there to make the decision. There's no dictatorship, so to speak. So we were able to get some quotes and get it in and get it fixed. But I don't think I'll ever forget that. And I definitely would say it was fun on the back end because Rachael and I got to pick the color of the building. I think it was also a good example of like an issue that we were like, okay, well, you know what, this is something we have to examine is the whole building infrastructure going forward. And we had kind of decided it that year. And then Mike ran with it last year with getting all of the people in to do that. And Matt, I think you just got back some of those reports, right?
Right. Yeah.
So everybody working together is kind of making this happen.
We've got some options, Rachael, that if we want to spend twice as much as the building's worth, we can do it.
Right, let's do
it. So, Rachael, switching gears a little bit. Rachael Kemmey, this has been my struggle. obviously, because you guys all know Rachael Kemmey is a very, very good friend of mine. And when she was president,
we're best friends. I don't know why you didn't say that.
when she was president, and then I've got executive director Rachael. You've got the Rachels. I'm always referring to them just as Rachael. Even now, when Rachel's been out on maternity leave, I'm like, Rachael does this, that. I was like, I really need to qualify this with a Prince or Kemmey because it's confusing me. So, Rachael Kemmey.
Yes.
As you know, we have some members who have interesting personalities without naming names in a way that would create discomfort or liability. Can you tell us how you navigated we'll call them the spirited members of our bar, of our organized bar?
So I was fortunate enough that I had the people, and they all shall not be named, but everybody kind of knows. Because I had got involved.
If you don't know, it's probably
if you don't know, you don't know. You're not that good of a member. I had gotten involved pretty early. I also had a great relationship with Bill Baldwin. So I kind of got to know who were the more, saucy members, so to speak. And, the way I always handle people is I like to get to know everybody. So I kind of went into it with it knowing okay, just let this person talk, or this person's going to want to tell you 100 things. They don't really care if they happen. Just listen. And that's kind of how I navigated it, was just with a smile on my face and, listened, and one ear out the other sometimes. But
I think, Rachel, you were really, I think it might have been you that said, even though some of their ideas might be outlandish or whatever they're saying maybe doesn't make sense, they always do have the bar at heart. And that's something that I try and remember is
true.
They might be spirited and wild, and their ideas might be sometimes I don't even know where they come from, but it truly is because they care.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. It's people just show it in different ways.
Rachael Kemmey, during your year as president, did you ever get a very long, rambling email from a member whose initials are?
Those are long initials.
Yeah, they are. Just yes or no.
You know what? I escaped that.
Oh, then you had a great year.
I swear it was because it was taken out so much on Bill. But I flew under the radar. So I think he got it all out on Bill before he left.
Dude.
Ask me.
Let's double go on, Carrie. I want to hear it.
Yes,
I
did.
No, if I did, I would have framed it, though.
All right, so let's talk wins. Obviously, you built the bar back. The physical building was built back by you and during your year, so that's a huge win. But is there anything else that you, looking back now, you're like, okay, this was so worth it, and I really feel like I accomplished something, and it truly was a highlight and something you won't forget?
So I was thinking about that a little bit, and I don't have a list of 100 things that I accomplished, so to speak. I can't run down a list and say, I wanted to do X, Y, and Z, and all of them were accomplished. But looking back, my goal, I think even what I talked about at the President's Dinner, was that we always want new members, but there's a whole group of untapped people who were involved before and just have fallen off the wayside for some reason or another. My goal was to get them back in. And I remember sitting at one of our last events looking around, and some of the people I was thinking of, like Matt and I's generation of people who we used to be in our young lawyers group who weren't around anymore, and seeing all of their faces. So that was my win, I guess. I mean, it might not be as good as other people's wins with 100 things they got done or. Yeah,
but that's a huge win because there is no bar without bar members.
It's also sort of like a chicken and the egg argument, right? What drives what? Does member engagement drive new initiatives, or do new initiatives drive member engagement? It's sort of a combination of the both. To have a good positive vibe, which I appreciated during your presidency, Rachael, through the Organized Bar Association, I thought was nice.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
So, is there a moment from your time at the Bar Association, whether it's your presidential year or otherwise, that still makes you laugh when you think about it?
Yes, and I'll share it because I know that Judge Hazel is okay with it. And plus, it just makes me look bad, not him. May was probably my first full year of being involved. Matt, you were present for this story. Mike Hill and our company, we had joined the Inn of Court, and we were all really active members at the time. I loved the Inn of Court. And we were having our first dinner at AZ. We had not used it before. We had some cocktails beforehand, and I don't know why, but even in my 30s, I was not mature enough yet to eat sushi. I eat it now. At the time, I did not. So I got there, and there was sushi, and I was like, "Oh no, I can't eat." There's an open bar at a court, and I probably had one too many. But I really needed to use the bathroom, and the bathrooms were downstairs. And if anyone knows Ozzy, you have to come down the stairs, and you turn a corner very quickly. Well, I bolted down those stairs, and I turned that corner, and I flung open the door to the bathroom. And it was, in fact, not the women's room. It was the men's room. And there was Judge Hazel just trying to urinate. and he locked eyes with me, and I locked eyes with him. And I was like, I'm just going to have to go with this. So I was like, well, is this the women's room? And he went with it too, which was great. But I left thinking to myself, he's going to tell Judge Capuzzi, I'm going to get fired. This is it for me. I can't believe I did this. I'm so embarrassed. Hopefully he never mentions it again. And then a month later, we were at an event. It may have been Judge's cocktail party or something. And he said to someone, do you know this? Do you know Rachael? She knows me. She walked in on me in the bathroom. And I don't think I'll ever forget that.
She knows me very intimately. She knows me well.
A reminder of how funny our members are together. You don't really have to feel embarrassed about anything, I wouldn't want to do that again. But
well, there would be some members of our bar association if you did that to them. They wouldn't let you forget it. All right.
Yeah, I picked the best one to do it too. So.
You did.
But that, I think, was probably the funniest thing that has happened, or most embarrassing thing that has happened to me there.
I don't think I knew that. I don't think you told me that story. So I love that one.
That was a highlight.
What, in a bigger, broader sense, do you feel that being part of the Bar Association, leading the Bar Association, is there anything with that makes you feel like maybe you're a better lawyer, or a different type of lawyer that you may have been had you not had leadership or involvement in the bar?
Yes, 100%. I'm not even sure I would still be a lawyer if it wasn't for the Bar Association, because it really kept me involved in the practice of law in ways that I wasn't getting through the profession, to be honest. I love what I do now, but we don't, when you work in the DA's office, you don't have a ton of crossover with others, practices, other genres of law. So I wouldn't have even met people like Joe or Matt or Carrie, because we don't work together. So just meeting people, seeing that there are other ways to practice, other parts of practice besides just being in the courtroom. I don't think that I would still be a lawyer right now had I not been so involved in the Bar Association, to be honest.
All right, Rachael, stick around for rapid fire, and we'll be with you soon.
Sounds good.
It's Carrie Woody's turn. What's up, Wood?
Last, but absolutely not least, what year were you president, Carrie? And what do you remember most about stepping into that role?
I was president in 2022. I got on the board of directors in 2015. And I got pregnant with my older daughter in 2016. So I started married. And when I was president, I had a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. And I thought, this is the worst time that anybody has ever done this ever. I mean, what am I doing? Everybody does this, when Joe did it, when they have all the time and attention. And I felt so foolish, I was going to just blow it. Absolutely blow it.
Is there anything, Carrie, that about being the president of the DCBA, is there anything that when you got there, you're like, nobody told me this, or something that you wish someone had warned you about?
So yes, but in the positive, I learned quickly that the DCBA and being president, the DCBA is a team that's already great at what they do. And now you just got a spot on it temporarily. So I had a lot of stuff to do. I had moments like you're saying, Matt, where it's just when am I going to do the job that pays my nanny or any of, but I felt like I did absolutely nothing alone between Bill and the DCBA. And frankly, Rachael Kemmey, like I did nothing alone. And so I thought it was going to just be this like undoable thing. The girls were going to be either neglected or what have you. And then I got much more comfortable with it very quickly.
I think that you having young kids was amazing, just because I think it really showed people that you don't have to wait. You know, I think you were one of the first presidents that had young kids. And I think that there was sort of a precedent that maybe you needed to wait until your kids were older. And you did an excellent job with young kids. And I love that it was you that kind of opened that gate.
Yeah. And the girls, I sort of like switched the way I was thinking about it and then started looking at it like how cool for them to see Dan and I both really working hard and only one person going to stuff because the other is at something else they have to do or what have you. And I remember when I got my gavel, they were like the perfect age to think it's so great that you got a gavel. Like a teenager would be like, oh, that's nice, Mom. Congratulations. Like my kids with the box and the whole presentation, they thought like, I can't believe you got this. Like, how'd you get this? So that was a really cool part of it. Was both hard, but like also perfect timing for what they got to see happen.
Yeah, I take my hat off to you, Carrie, for that, because I know that's not easy. I mean, there was a long time that I wasn't active in the Bar Association because my kids were little. You know, I'm going to say there was maybe a period of 10 years or so. And I had to wait till they were good because I was busy helping to raise them. So, you know, I think you did make a really good statement by saying, okay, this is what it is. I'm going to roll up my sleeves and just do it. And you did it.
Thank you.
And you did it well.
Thank you, guys.
So, Carrie, let's talk chaos, because I feel like this part of the interview is what people look forward to, like the funny part. And as we're finding out, something, at least even if it was small, happened during everyone's year that you genuinely couldn't have predicted or planned for. What was yours?
So mine was, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Then I got pretty much into smooth sailing. And then Bill announced he was leaving. And, I mean, I did so little that I didn't run by Bill. And Bill, like he and I just were so united in everything that happened that year. And then he told me he was leaving, which obviously for purposes of being president of the DCBA is huge. But I was also just so sad about it. Rachael and Bill and I spent a lot of time together that year, the year before. And I was just, I was very sad about it. And I was very overwhelmed. I mean, we know how the story plays out, right? Everything works out perfectly, but I didn't know like how to even begin replacing him. Or it just was, and I was just, and doing the work of replacing Bill was a lot of work, but I was just so sad doing that work because Rachael and I spent a lot of time with him. We were really three like very close friends at that time.
Yeah, I mean, like there's the friendship angle, which is tough.
Yeah.
And then like there's the other angle, which is like if I have an associate leave at my firm, it's like, oh God, I need to find somebody to replace it so I can delegate work too. If Rachel Prince was like, Matt, I'm leaving in a month. I like in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do. I might be like, I don't think so.
I know.
That's a no for me, dog.
We had Betty Price die in the middle of the year.
I mean, it's
the bench conference. You know, and everybody, it was a quick story that she's coming back. You know, she's fine. She's not. Well, she had been dying and nobody told her. And Bruce Roger, I went to see Betty in the hospital about a week before she died. I had to tell Bruce Roger and Mike Pierce, go see her. She's dying, and she did. She died a week later. Yeah. So that was a kick in the ass.
Yeah. It's the things they don't plan for, right?
Right. So that was a big thing I didn't plan for. We had, I mean, it was the 100-year anniversary of the Bar Association. We had our events, like everything was going great. My executive committee was just, I mean, I couldn't have handpicked it any more wonderful than it was. And Bill's like change of plans with his career was definitely my chaos.
So Carrie, it's been, I guess, 4 years as you look back on your year as president. Is there anything you go back and do differently? Anything that you're comfortable sharing on a recorded podcast that you go back and tell us that you would do differently?
Yeah, so this one is so out of left field, but Dan and I just really love hosting. And the whole year, I really wanted to have the whole executive committee for like a big dinner at our house. I'm going to have to do it at like, my 10 years done or something like that. But the whole year I kept saying to Dan, like, we'd go to a board meeting and then we would stay afterwards and you guys would do just like so much extra stuff or like weigh in on so much extra stuff for me. And I'm like, Dan, I'm having this dinner. And then I never had my dinner, but it's coming.
I'm very excited.
I like it. I was on that.
It's coming. I mean, I enjoyed my executive committee. I enjoyed the entire group of us. I enjoyed that time so much.
You know what it does, Care?
Would you invite to your dinner?
Absolutely.
You know what it is, Care, is that
your answer is email.
There is something about like being president where like there's a certain amount of pressure on you to like make good decisions, and having good directors and especially having good members of the executive committee, it certainly makes me feel like much more comfortable. Like everybody is like, I'm here, I'm help, or to bounce ideas off of. It really does help, like I don't know if lighten the load is the right term, but just make you more comfortable with the decisions you're making, Rachel. As you were saying earlier, right? Like it's not a one person show. You want the board to be involved. And I've been like, for my time, I've been happy both like as in various roles on the executive committee, like serving under you, Carrie, and Rachel, and everybody. And I've been like just I feel very like sort of blessed about how engaged our executive committee is this year.
Yeah. Well, Rachel and I are 2022 and 2024. Between us is Pat Daly. And so she and I also, with him, her and I always said about him is he supports a decision and then you feel so good because he has such like confidence once he's thought something out. Yeah. So she and I always said like we just loved having him between our ears because you have a lot of decisions to make. And like we were never with a group that was wishy-washy. Like we all were just like, this is our decision. Like hiring Rachel Prince, this is our decision. We're all very happy about it, and we're confident in it. We made the decision, and now we're happy with our decision. And there was it was some of the personalities who just like helped us always feel that way.
That's huge. I think that says a lot about our bar, though, and I wish like there's so many attorneys in Delaware County that are not members. And I just like want to snip that part out and just like send it to all these law firms and be like, this bar has each other's back. Like listen to it. Because I think
it just must be sort of lonely. Like if you know what I mean? Like
it's like bringing tears to my eyes.
Yeah,
I don't know how people practice without it because it can be very lonely. I don't know.
Matt, you and I have a joint venture coming up. Because, I'm going over to Tom Musey's law firm in a couple of weeks. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody who's a member there is my son. So we've got some proselytizing.
There you go.
Right? We're gonna bring those guys back. They're members for years.
Every time I saw Tom
every time I saw him at a DCBA event, he was like, "This is great." Like, that's a good project.
I think we should get off the podcast when this is over, and I'll just march over there.
Rachel, remember when we wanted to do that? We wanted to walk around to every law firm and introduce ourselves and ask them to join. We can still do it. We can still do it.
We should push the babies around and do it.
Yes, I very much need to get my steps in, so I'm available.
So, Carrie, what was the accomplishment, the single, like if you just can pinpoint one, because you had a lot, what was the biggest accomplishment from your presidency that you are most proud of?
Mine's not so much of an accomplishment, but when I was president, Bucks County, Chester County, and Montgomery County, we all were women. Mm-hmm. And it was the first time it ever happened.
Right, you remember that. Yeah.
And
you can thank Joe for that.
That's what? I'll take credit for that. Yeah.
That's true, Joe. Right. And the PBA, which runs July to July, for 6 months had Kathleen Wilkinson with us. And so that somebody figured that out, and whoever figured it out connected us. And the other bar presidents who were presidents when I were just people that I really got to know. Julie Goldstein in Bucks County, I still talk to. I loved that special thing that happened to me. That was like very, very special to me. And they did a little, Rachael Kemmey and Bill, of course, they did a little speaker panel with all of us, and Rachael and Bill and I all went to it and went to dinner. And that was just I was really, really lucky that I was the DCBA president during that.
Carrie talked during that, and she did such a fabulous job representing the association. I literally remember being like, I hope I can be like half the president that Carrie was. I was so proud of her. She did such a good job representing us at that meeting. She won't say that, so I want to say it for her.
Well, thank you.
What's the funniest thing that happened to you in connection with the Delaware County Bar Association?
Anything goes. Don't hold back.
I don't know that anything. So I was trying to think of my year, and not like like Rachael did, like more of her tenure here, and mine, I was trying to think of my year. I don't have a super funny one. I mean, I was saying to Rachael Prince when I hopped on, this was the question I stuttered with, but I do remember that during my year, I came down to the DCBA one day, and Bill and Nancy needed to make signs after that day that said we were not a public restroom. That no public restroom, the no public restroom sign that's on the front door now happened in 2022 after Bill had to clean up the restroom. The public is awful.
That wasn't Judge Hazel. Wasn't Judge Hazel in there, was it?
No, it was the public. It was the public.
I wasn't here then, obviously, because Bill was here, but I'm pretty sure that I heard that story within the first 3 hours of walking in this building and starting this job. And Carrie won't say it, but I will, because I have no filter. Someone literally everywhere. Yeah. And Bill had to literally clean it up.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
the sign went up, no public restrooms, and I am proud to say we hold true to that, except for the meter maid, because she's nice to us. We let the meter maid
yeah. Nice work.
So if you have to go to the bathroom and you're not a member, don't come in, because we won't let you.
That's right.
It's a benefit of membership. It's a benefit of membership.
Just put it on the list.
All right. And so last question, Carrie, and this is a big one. How did this place, these people, and this bar shape you into the attorney you are today?
I mean, I just am a big ditto to Rachael Kemmey. I have nice clients. I like practicing law. I like it so much more because I go to the bench bar conference, because I did the House of Delegates, because I know you guys. It would just be so much less to me without the DCBA. I have my husband and my father-in-law. I don't really have coworkers. Everything I need from like purposes of like having colleagues, I get all of that from the DCBA. I can run a bunch of stuff by Dan, but he's just one person. I get all of my like collegiality, all of that. I get it from the DCBA. Most of my friends that are lawyers are because we're members. I don't really know, people who are my contemporaries who aren't members. I don't even really know them. And as Rachael said, like we have no reason to know each other. I do estate work, but we all like now are friends with each other. And I just like practicing law so much better because I'm a member.
It was nice. I like that, Carrie. I like, just as a side note, one of my favorite things, but I have a lot of favorite things about Carrie Woody, but one of my favorite things is when we're sitting around talking about work, I like her line that it's really hard to become a client of mine.
It is.
Your clients must be so honored that
they're great folks, but I don't like doing this enough to do the like, I just can't really get into the trenches. I really don't like it that much.
I like that. Carrie, you're a rock star. I like that.
To do
That's
that.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So guys, Don't go anywhere because we're going to do everyone's favorite part, which is rapid fire. Right after I talk about this month's sponsor, which is Franklin Mint Federal Credit Union. So I am going to personally tell you how incredible they are because, as maybe some of you know, not too long ago, I was in a car accident. My car was totaled. And if you've ever been in that situation, you know the amount of stress that comes with it. Not only is it sort of traumatizing because you were in an accident and you don't need a car like in a few days. Like I needed one now because I commute to work every day and I literally had no way of getting here. And I have 4 kids and they still had to go to school and we had to get on with our lives. So I was literally in panic mode. And instead of continuing to panic, which I probably would have done had I not worked here and had Franklin Mint as a sponsor, I decided to reach out to Danielle Eichinger at Franklin Mint, and I explained to her what happened and asked if she could help me quickly. And literally within minutes, another person from Franklin Mint called me, and her name was Kara McDonald, and I'll never forget it because she helped me immensely. Kara had me approved for a car loan in less than 20 minutes with a 4.99% interest rate for 72 months. I don't know if anyone around here has tried to buy a car lately, but I'm going to give you a second to go look up what the car rates are everywhere else right now. Seriously, because I almost fell over when she gave me that rate. There was no competition. So I was approved in minutes and I literally was given a check with the, here's the amount you can spend up to, go shopping. And it took off an incredible burden from how I was feeling, because I was really feeling pretty down to begin with. And I don't think that my experience is unique. Franklin Mint, along with Clara Burke and Danielle Eichinger, have been unbelievably supportive of the Delaware County Bar Association for well over 15 years, and especially when it comes to our beloved bench bar conference. These are not just bankers who write checks and move on. They are your neighbors. They have offices all over Delaware County, and they show up for you. I can attest, they show up for you when you need it. And they genuinely love spending time with us and this community. And they are there to help you with your personal and business banking needs. So please, for your own sake, remember Franklin Mint Federal Credit Union. The next time you need to do anything with loans, banking, business banking, whatever it is, they will help you.
So to follow up on that, and Carrie can probably appreciate this. I do a lot of the state work too. And big banks today are a real pain in the ass. That's all I'm going to say about them, two in particular. So whenever I have an estate that we have to open an estate account, Franklin Mint is one of the banks that I recommend them looking into because of exactly what you just said.
Yeah, they're excellent.
All right, guys. So here's how rapid fire works. Matt is going to ask you questions, and you're going to say the very first thing that comes to your mind. No thinking, no consulting. And I guess the way that we can do it so everyone gets a chance is just go in the order where you were individually speaking. So Joe, Rachael, Carrie, are you ready for rapid fire?
Ready.
Problem with that is it's too easy. So here's what I'm going to adapt to. I'm going to cue you so that you don't have so that Carrie doesn't get like 15 seconds to prep for every answer.
Good call.
Right?
Good call. Yeah.
All right. Best place to eat in Delco right now, Joe.
I tend to like La Padilla in Upper Providence.
Kemm.
Same Tavern.
Carrie.
Is there any place other than Pinocchio's?
A sentence you said as bar president that you never imagined saying. Carrie.
Poop?
Joe.
Being in chambers in a bar meeting with Chad Kenney and somebody felt his robe and said, boy, that feels really silky. And I asked him if he got it at Victoria's Secret.
Miss Kemmey.
No, we don't want your face on a urinal cake. Definitely had to say that.
I need that story at some point. I don't know that one.
That's a Rachel and I will share.
Describe your presidential year using a Delco landmark. Rachael Kemmey.
You're going to come back to me on that one. That one I don't know.
Joe.
Sorry, I know I'm better at this usually.
Townhouse.
Carrie?
Rach, what was our place? Bill likes
Ariana.
Ariana.
We'll take that.
Good. All right. Most memorable bench bar conference and why? Joe?
I'm going to say the Hyatt Chesapeake. It was my presidential year, and it was the first year we went there.
Care?
2015 Bedford.
Kemmey?
When Matt Ryan led the sing along with the piano.
I think it's
That was 2015 Bedford. Yep.
Yeah,
That was the best.
And I believe if I'm not wrong, was that Craig's year as president? Is that Craig with Bedford or no?
I'll tell you in a
We're
second.
going to find out.
It's Kristen Rushing. Kristen Rushing.
Okay.
Rush.
Okay,
Rushing. That was a great bench bar, and that was a great bench. That's
The
easily
weather was
my favorite
lousy, but the
bar.
bench bar was good. So, yeah.
Yeah.
We were just like all our best then.
Yeah, dude. We were Carrie. That's well said.
We were all our best. I have a picture of Dan. I think he presented something, and he was in a tan suit sitting on our balcony, like prepping what he was going to say. And he just like felt so fancy. We were all our best in 2015.
We were at our peak. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. If the Delaware County Bar Association were a TV show, what would it be called? Joe?
Adventures in Paradise or not?
Rachel?
Sidebar shenanigans.
Carrie?
5 ladies, a baby, and a puppy.
One piece of advice from all of you, to anyone thinking about running for bar president. Care?
You can do it. Anybody can do it. You can do it.
Rachel?
It would be the same. It would be to believe that you can do it regardless of age or what your practice area is.
Joe?
Do it for the right reason, not to pad your resume.
Very good.
I like it. I like it. 2 of you could submit yours to Nike because Just Do It was pretty close. Last one. Be honest. Would you do it again, Joe?
Yes.
Rachel?
100% over. Yes.
Carrie?
Yeah, and maybe one day I'll do it as first lady.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Right? It's not. Maybe I'm not totally done.
Good.
Joe, Rachel, Carrie, thank you guys so much. That was a lot of
fun.
fun.
I enjoyed this. This is great.
Thank you guys. You guys are wonderful.
Awesome.
The only thing we were missing were the cocktails. Okay, that's the only thing we were missing.
Hey, there's still time.
Well, I'm going to go to the Young Lawyers this afternoon. I'm going to be there.
Right. I'll tell you what.
Regina's asleep now. I can go.
Show up at 5:00 and I'll make sure you get a free drink tonight.
You guys, I needed to leave.
I can pay for my own drink.
You are awesome.
Bye, Carrie.
I can't believe we pulled this off. Bye, guys. Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode of Unpublished Opinions, please subscribe, hit that like button, and tell a colleague. And if you're a lawyer, send us your unpublished opinions. We have no editorial standards whatsoever.
Thank you to our guests, Joseph Mattson, Rachael Kemmey, and Carrie Woody. And of course, to our sponsor, Franklin Mint Federal Credit Union. I'm your co-host and executive director, Rachel Prince, alongside co-host and DCBA president, Matthew Bilker. And this is Unpublished Opinions.
All right. Sorry. That was gross. That was gag worthy. It was so gag worthy.
Rach, hi, baby.
Hi. Say hi. Say hi to everybody.
Baby.
Oh,
This is Regina.
Hello.
Hello, Regina.
You're making a face. We were just so happy a second ago. Oh my goodness. You're making me look like a bad parent.
This is like the pandemic board meetings with all of the kids just like walking.
Yo, save the good fodder for the podcast.
Okay.
No, that was great.
My favorite pandemic was, who was the guy? I think he was on MSNBC. He's got a shirt and a tie on and no pants. You remember
Oh,
that?
yeah. I'm definitely wearing pants today.
I like the one where like the guy is on like a national, if not international news broadcast from his home. And like the kid walks into the room while he's doing like a very esoteric discussion on like, I don't even know what it was. It was like the war in Russia and Ukraine type of level. And the kids are playing and then the nanny zooms into the room.